I think this stuff that we're talking about here today, like the stories that we tell ourselves and how we feel and how we react, like that is going to shift like what you see on the outside. So like if you're feeling excited and centered and balanced and joyful, it's going to be reflected back to you, right?
Okay, how am I reacting to this? How am I getting in my own way? But just knowing that you working on yourself, it's like if you need to work on yourself for your business, it's the best thing that you can do for your business.
Yeah. And pay attention because like there will be those things that are like, no, you can't have this. What's your goal? You're failing, you know? How much money do you have? And it's like, you just got to be aware, like that is not the track that I'm on. Yeah. That's not the program I'm doing. I remember lying in my backyard, unable to walk, unable to sleep, unable to breathe without pain, and thinking to myself, how did I get here? How did I end up here? And the truth is, I ended up here because I was drowning in pressure from a business that was working. And so today, Peter and I are going to talk about the effects of hustle culture, of pressure, right? And how we can get our balance and growth. And really, when I think about it, how we can take our power back. I know that is used a lot, that statement, take your power back. But I really do feel like when it comes to pressure, what it's doing is it's taking our energy, it's taking our joy, and you know, like our world, our society is not set up for our ultimate health and our best interests in mind. And so I think when I think about, you know, the pressure with business, with life, I think if we can regain control in a way, which is kind of funny because it's kind of like releasing control, but if we can release the pressure, then we can regain our balance and we can regain our joy. And ultimately, like that's why we started a business, right? Was to help others, but also like have more of our own freedom and control over how we spend our time and who we work with. But if it's doing the opposite, if it's causing us so much stress and pressure and having a negative effect on our health, it's not really worth it, right? So we're going to talk about what does it look like? What are the effects? And like, how can you regain some of that balance in your business?
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about all of these things. I feel like these are the work that Sarah and I are going to talk about. It's work that we do all the time. Mm-hmm. We naturally do it, and we've been doing that for a long time. And so as we go through our conversation today, we'll be talking about some of these things that we just do kind of automatically, and maybe you already do them as well. But there's definitely going to be some things that are going to help you take a deeper dive into how you've been operating and moving into how you really want to be living your life, rather than just being in that that autopilot mode of what you've been doing for so long, helping you kind of just peel back the awareness of that.
Yeah.
So
the thing that is so great, sarcastically, about our reality is there's always an opportunity to practice this work. Before we got on this video, we had an opportunity. We got a little notification from a payment processor of something that, you know, we need to fix, we need to worry about. Well, that's the programming, right? And I just found myself instantly noticing, because we were about to record this video, noticing normally, or like my programming is, I need to figure this out. I need to fix this. This is urgent. But that is what pressure is. Pressure is the feeling of force, of deadlines, right? Of urgency. And so right there, my programming was, I got this email. Okay, you know, talking to Peter about it. Okay, fix it. But it's like, no, we don't need to do it right now. And Peter is so good at this. Like, I feel like our whole relationship, and we've been together since we were little Lima, like 18, right?
It was like 19.
Yeah, like 19.
I think maybe you were 18, not 19.
Yeah, so for like a long time. But I feel like you have always been a little bit better than me when it comes to, hey, we don't need to do this right now. Like it's not as urgent for you. Like, and I think you've improved over the years with that even. And I definitely have, my friend, but
to me, I think of it as the reaction.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, what is the impulse reaction? That's the autopilot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if you can be aware of how you typically react, what triggers that reaction, then you can start to nudge yourself in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah.
So you can, like you were saying, control the reaction. And control is one of those things where it doesn't just mean one thing in one way, because there's healthy control and then there's unhealthy control, and there is a difference.
Yeah.
There's a definite difference.
I think with like the inner work, what we're talking about today, and with business, there's so many nuances. And I think that people can get like stuck on one or the other. Like with control, for example, it's like, well, you don't have control. You need to release all the control. But it's like, well, I can control like my emotions and how I let them affect me. And that is actually a really healthy habit to have.
We don't want to be out of control.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we need some control. We just don't want to overdo it.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Really interesting. One thing that I've been I guess like one thing that I notice a lot when it comes to business is the stress and the, like, it's a lot of times it's like urgency or scarcity. And it sounds like, you know, this has to work. I have to have a plan. I need to do this exactly this way. And I can recognize it right away because I used to be like that, right? I used to have this, like, I was telling Peter about it. It's like this mindset of it's all on me. Like I'm responsible for my outcome. And if I don't do it, who's going to do it? But I think that programming is really dangerous because it leads to burnout. It leads to, you know, so many different issues when it comes to your health and your well-being, you know. And so shifting that has given me so much freedom and joy. And I had this programming where I didn't think that was available to me. I don't know if anybody can relate, where I would see other people operating with more, I guess, yeah, like freedom, more space, more ease. And I just thought, oh, I'm not wired like that. That's not my personality. But your personality can change, which is like so cool. And the ego also doesn't love that. The ego hates that. It's like,
because that is its identity.
Exactly. And so that's been really cool. And I think really helpful when people like my clients or friends are like, I cannot believe that you're living in Mexico, that you're eating animal products, you know, you have your own business, like you're not using an alarm to wake up. They're like, what happened to you? And it's like, I changed my personality. And like, not in like a bad way, because I feel like society, like TV shows, it's like, they change, you know, that's, ooh, why'd they change, you know?
There's always people that don't like you changing.
Yeah.
This is the truth.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's like awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, and Sarah and I we are masters of change at this point. Yeah. We've just done so many things. I mean, especially in this last few years, but we've made a lot of change in the last like 13, 14 years. Mm-hmm. So, and we've had our business for over 10 years. Yeah. So we're used to all that kind of, you know, juggling that kind of mode as well.
I think that this is good if you're a new business owner, because when I first started coaching, when we first started growing our business, I really thought it was going to be like it's like you figure it out, you do it, and you repeat it, right? But I've said this.
As if you're like working a job.
Yeah, I know, right? Because that's a programming. And so I say this in Aligned Inside Academy a lot. I'm like, if you do not like to take risks, if you do not like change, if you just think that it should just, you figure it out and it's done, business is going to be really hard for you. And I don't say that in a way to be mean, but it's like, it's this constant flow and like everything's moving and changing and you figure it out and then you have to change to figure something else out. And so if you are already way on tight and stressed out and you need it to be a certain way, it's just gonna just constantly. And like I see it with coaches, you know, the ones who are the most easygoing and like have been through stuff. And that's usually who we attract, people who are going through it or have been through things that are challenging. They're able to roll with the punches. But if you've never been through anything that really shaped your confidence, shaped your income, your housing, your livelihood, any of that, then like, yeah, like business could be that thing that kind of helps you grow, but it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. There's just a certain mentality that comes with being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you might not start out with it, but if you stick with it, you will develop it.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. One thing that you had said, you were saying that you used to believe that it was all on you. That was kind of like, that was the source, the root of your own pressure that you were putting on yourself. But that was also a story that you were telling yourself. And that can have real basis. That can actually come from like childhood. It could be very substantiated.
Yeah.
But to me, what's interesting is that we all have our own stories.
Yeah.
We all put pressure on ourselves for a certain reason. And I think my intention for sitting down and having this discussion today is to help you figure out, the viewer, what your stories are that you're telling yourself. How are you putting the pressure on yourself?
Yeah. Because
that, my friend, there is a lot there to work with. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something to work with, to be aware of, to play with, to be curious about. Because as Sarah said, you can change. You can change who you are. If you want to change into another version, you can. You just have to allow yourself to. You detach from your old version. And if your old person sucked, then that's going to be really easy, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be like, I have one self, you know? Like, there are so many aspects to you, right? There's so many, and all of them they're created differently, you know, from different sources. So you could have lots of different stories, but you could just change one piece about yourself as it relates to your business. That's really just kind of messing it all up. It's messing up the flow. It's not fun. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Figure out what is that.
Yeah. And I think like with that, letting it kind of be organic, because I think that with us as business owners, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? Okay, let's figure it out. Let's take care of it, you know? And so I think letting it be a little bit organic and not so rigid would be my recommendation for this process.
Yeah, this is not a to-do list.
Yeah. How many of you guys took notes and wrote that? Yeah, figure out my issues.
Yeah, this is something where it's like, it's becoming aware of it and just thinking about, you know, what triggers it? Why is it there? How do you want it to be?
Yeah.
What would be the alternative that you would prefer? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are realizing that like we can do whatever we want. We can create whatever we want. And I think that is one thing about, you know, the online space that we're in right now that I'm liking is like this focus on like creating the reality that you want to live in and kind of, like I said earlier, like taking your power back. But one thing that I notice a lot, and you probably do too, if you're watching this video, is a lot of it is focused on the external, right? It's focused on like looking differently and like getting dressed and getting up earlier and doing more workouts and which, I mean, yeah, like eating well and moving your body, and those are important. But I think the stuff that we're talking about here today, like the stories that we tell ourselves and how we feel and how we react, like that is going to shift like what you see on the outside, right? So like if you're feeling excited and centered and balanced and joyful, then you are doing your business, whatever that work is, like it's going to be reflected back to you, right? versus if you're like trying to like look a certain way and do it all perfectly and you're so anxious, like that anxiety is going to be reflected back in your business, right? And so I just finished Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And I really like in the end, he has you focused, and I think he has you focus on your future self, but I kind of think of it as the higher self, right? The connection to your soul and like the greatest plan for you, where everything is, and just kind of thinking about how I show up and how I operate every day. And I think if you are a coach, you might not have this story, you might not have this like purpose, but a lot of our clients do. For me, I feel like the best way that I can help others starts first with myself and how I'm taking care of myself and how I'm showing up. And so, I think to be a better coach, one of the best things you can do is to work on yourself and figure out what are the things where maybe you're not in alignment, you're not living as your higher self, and can you integrate and work on those, because then you're going to be able to help others. And sometimes you're able to help others just through how you're being, like not what you're the post and do it. It's like, it's literally just how you're showing up and moving through the world because you've done that work on yourself.
Mm-hmm. I remember you telling me that you used to think that you had to get your business figured out and then you could work on yourself. This is before kind of like coming into the inner work spirituality. And then we came to realize that it's actually the other way around for a lot of people, but they are two different kind of modes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one before the other always. It's not a hard and fast rule,
Right.
But it's like you're working on your business, but if you're getting in your own way with any business activity, now you need to prioritize your inner work.
Yeah.
You need to work on yourself.
Yeah.
Until you get to the point where you're okay, like now I can get back into working on that thing. Things are going to continue to come up. This is not just like you do it once, it's you're trying to kind of remold yourself over time.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's just being aware as you're going through your week. And sometimes you might go like a week or 2 weeks or a month before you have a reoccurring thing that comes up. But each time it does, you can just focus on, okay, how am I reacting to this? How am I getting in my own way? But just knowing that you working on yourself, it's like if you need to work on yourself for your business, it's the best thing that you can do for your business.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will give you signs, and maybe you're getting signs right now. Maybe that's why you're watching this video. But I remember just coaching clients like all day, business coaching clients, notes, mastermind. And my clients would tell me that they're, going to therapy, they're working on themselves, they're going to the silent retreats, like doing all these things. And I just kept thinking like, oh, that would be so nice if I could do that. Like, I would love to do that. But like, I literally don't have time. Like my calendar then versus now is night and day different, night and day. Every single hour of the day was full. This was about like 3 years ago. And I didn't have the time. Well, the universe, right, is like my higher self was like, I will make time for you, right? And that's when I had my like back challenge that left me unable to walk for 6 months, unable to do anything. But what it allowed me was space to step into the next chapter. And if I didn't have that time, I think I would still be wrapped up in like hustle culture and girl bossing, right? And like the next thing. And the programming is like, when I get here, I can chill. But it's like, you will no, that doesn't work. There's always something else. Even with business, even as you shift and change, like there are still those things there. And so for me, I always am, talk about every day, like setting my intention and like doing deep work before I'm checking with clients, before I'm on social media, any of that, because like I have to get right first. Otherwise I can get caught up. It's like feels like I'm going into like a vortex when I like enter the world of like online. And I think a lot of people feel that way because they tell me like social media is draining, you know, like working on my business, it feels draining. And it can if you don't have that awareness and that intention before going in. It's kind of like I feel like I need to put on like my armor, you know, it's like, okay, get ready, like here we go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's from like an energetic standpoint, it's knowing where you are and it's getting yourself to your center before you go out into this huge, just boiling soup of energy of all kinds. And it's intense out there. We all know that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's it. That makes a lot of sense. You know, it's me. And I think that's what's so important about people really knowing where their center is before they go into like the stimulation of the simulation, you know. Like,
well put. Yeah, exactly. And even with like clients, you know, like as you're seeing clients, it's like I never know what they're gonna bring up. I mean, sometimes like they'll Voxer me, you know, but I never know what's gonna come up. So like I need to be ready for that and I need to be able to hold space. But if I'm in like my emotions or I'm not present, right? Like I'm not going to be able to show up and connect with my higher self. I'm not going to be able to meet their higher self. And the thing that is so cool about coaching is when you get to like this level of like, I'm connected to my higher self, I'm showing up here, people can come in their ego, their personality, but like by the time the call is over, they're at their higher self. They're like feeling good, they're grounded, they're tapped in, right? And like that is like one of my favorite things. And it's like, I want to help you be at that as much as possible, right? Like at that level.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the higher self is like, it's the version of you that you actually want to be.
Yeah.
You're really happy to be, you're proud to be, and it just feels like this is your best self.
Yeah.
And it's staying in that, which is also the work.
Yeah.
Because once you're able to stay in that, you'll never lose it. I mean, it's like riding a bike. You won't want to be in your ego. You'll see all of these false narratives because they're just incompatible with your higher self.
Yeah.
Your higher self is like, it's on it's a totally separate track. You know, when you're on that, your momentum really carries you. So the more you're connecting with that version of yourself, the easier it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find like when you're able to do that in situations that normally would make you feel like the pressure or the stress, like celebrate that. You know, it's like, ooh, I just like overcame that in the past. It would, you know, bring me down, or like, ooh, I could see this. Like for me, it feels good. It's like I take a moment to really appreciate that growth. And I think that helps a lot too, is like recognizing it and seeing it, especially for you, if you're similar to me, where like I can be really hard on myself. I can have like these really high expectations and goals. And when I don't hit them, meet them, I screw something up, I can notice myself kind of being hard on myself. But the more I'm celebrating when I am like growing, I have that to kind of like compare. It's like, hey, but you just did this yesterday and like that was pretty cool. And it's like, oh yeah, come on, Sarah, like get back up there, right? And it just kind of feels like my higher self is like kind of pulling my personality, my lower self like up to the level. It's like, hey, come on, we're up here now. We're not down there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And it helps that like you know that energy.
Yeah.
You want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be at that higher kind of vibratory state.
Yeah.
Because everything just works better there. And like with like the topic of what we're talking about today, you don't put the pressure on yourself when you're in that version of yourself. And so you feel better, you get better results. You're not hard on yourself because that's putting yourself down.
Yeah.
Like you would never do that.
I think it's good to pay attention to when things are really like working in your business and growing and happening, because one thing that I noticed really early on, which I'm so happy, like when Peter and I were living in like one of our first apartments in California, just like trying to make the business work, trying to quit our jobs. Like I noticed when I was like, okay, we're working on this thing, today at this time, let's do it. It never freaking worked, you guys. Like, it was literally like the work. I hated it. I was like, this is a business I'm choosing to work on with my husband, who I love. And like, when I put all this pressure on us, it like just we get nothing done. We end up like not getting along. It's not fun. And then I noticed when I was like, whatever, I want to go out to lunch with my girlfriend. I don't know what's going to happen with this client. I don't know if they're going to sign up, whatever, just go out. The client signs up, you know, and I noticed that early on. I had that awareness early on. And so I've been able to bring that through a business. Like, that has been something that is like so true in our business, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when I release the pressure, when I have fun, when I trust that it's going to work out how it should, it actually does.
Yeah. And with business, there's no timeline. You can create expectations, you can create the schedule, but things are going to happen on their own, at their own rate, you know? And I think that's the control that a lot of entrepreneurs online they're so certain that they are in command of, or they are, but it's completely at their own expense, right?
Yes.
But if you want to be in balance and you're releasing a lot of that control, like all of a sudden you have so much more balance in your life. Because it doesn't work long term, right?
No.
I mean, you can see the young entrepreneurs and they're like, really, I've been saying that.
You've been saying this so
much. The young
much.
entrepreneurs, they're just like, they're getting after it, they're doing all the things, you know, but like,
he's like, they're in their 20s, good luck.
If you've been doing it for a long time, like 10 years plus, you don't operate at that same level unless you're completely unaware. In which case, you're driving your health into the ground,
or
you're
on relationship. Like, it's at an expense.
It's your health, it's relationships. It's out of balance.
Yeah,
and it's at the expense of something.
Yeah,
for sure, always.
Yeah. So one thing that we've really done that's helped a lot, and I try to help my clients do this, is just give yourself a bigger runway, give yourself a bigger timeline. You know, because if you're watching this, if you're in the academy, like, you want to have slow mornings, you want to go on trips, you want to be present, you want to work on your business, you want to do some coaching. Like, again, you want balance. And if you give yourself these short timelines, it's going to force you to, you know, work harder, have less time. And so for us, it's like extending the time. And what I mean by that is like, for like when we're getting like videos done, or, you know, hitting certain goals, or just different things where it's like, I want more space. You know, for me, I'm doing like only like 2 client calls a day. Like, that was unheard of before. I was doing like 4, you know, at a time, every day. And so I'm just creating more space in my schedule. And that might mean that it takes me a little bit longer to reach a goal that I have. But like, what do I gain from that? I gain peace, I gain joy, I gain freedom, I gain happiness, I gain relationships, I gain community. Like, the list is so long on what I gain when I extend the timeline a little bit and I release the pressure, and it feels good. Like, you know, we've been in like situations that are so stressful over the years. Growing up, I've been in situations that are so stressful, and it's like, I would give anything not to be in that. Like, it's just not worth it to me. Yeah. And I think that's important too, is like, what do you value, right? Like, what are your values? Because we all are going to have a little bit different values.
Yeah. I just thinking about myself, and if I ever really put a lot of pressure on myself around business. And I think I did at times.
You definitely do at times.
Yeah. What does that look like?
Well, like you'll say something like, oh, like there haven't been as many sales, you know, this month, or like little things to me. Yeah. And to me, like my dialogue, like my programming in the past would be like, oh, like I need to go and like make some more sales. I need to sign some more clients. Like he's saying that to me so I get to work, right? Yeah. But I think you said it like a few months ago, and I noticed it, and I was like, oh, dude, I've been doing great. Like, and I'll say that to him sometimes too. I'm like, no, I'm doing great over here. We're good.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that is I'm not saying, oh my gosh, look at our accounts, you know. It's me saying, okay, just being curious, and I should actually articulate this.
This has been a
I really need to articulate exactly what I'm
what's
thinking.
in his head and what comes out is a little bit different.
They're two different things.
We're human, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like an over
There's
communicator.
like my thought, and then there's what I think I should say.
I'm an over communicator, and he's an under communicator. So we kind of just like meet in the middle.
But I do try my best to communicate.
Hey,
I really do.
Everybody's doing their best.
Where was I going with that? Oh, it's because I'm always like thinking like, is there something that we could be doing differently in our marketing that is going to meet people where they're at now? That's usually where my mind is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that would be like
the better way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, but I definitely think in terms of you versus me, like our programming, our life experience is very different. Like how Peter grew up versus how I grew up, very different, right? Like for me, like my mom was like, if you want something done, you need to do it yourself. Like if you're gonna do anything in this world, like you have to go and do it, right? So it's just this pressure. And I think that is common. I watch a lot of shows and I'm like watching them parent and I'm like, no, like don't say that to them. You know, like that is gonna stick with them. They're gonna have to work through that. But it's like, that's part of life, you know, is like our parents are programming us. Like we signed up for this. We decided to come here. So we're gonna have different programs. And so, yeah, mine definitely, I feel like was like more stress and pressure, but I also think that's why Peter and I are together. We balance each other out. Like he's helped me have more fun and have more joy and not take things so seriously.
Yeah, I was just thinking about your comment about like the movies and shows and how they do the things that you're not like the not ideal, the not bad. And it's like, why do they do that? And it's like, it's because of the drama, but it's also, I guess it's the truth of how some people are. Yeah. And then it's what people know.
Yeah.
But we watch it, we're just like, oh my gosh, this is just like so hard to watch this. Like, no wonder people are like confused on like how to parent, for example. Yeah. You know, because like this is your role model. And you're spending all these hours on these shows and these movies, and these are like terrible examples. And it's like, you should not be so shocked when you look at your own life and then you're doing similar things. Yeah. Like you're just like the people that you're around, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was watching The Summer I Turned Pretty yesterday, and there's one of the like supporting characters, Taylor, and she has like a mom who's kind of like needs like a lot of help, and like she kind of steps in as like the parent, and I'm like, oh, I can relate to that so much. That's kind of like my mother-daughter like dynamic, and so I do like seeing that because I remember growing up. In TV, I never saw something that reflected that. And now you see that way more, which I like. But then there's also part of me where it's like what you're saying. And we saw it when we were with family and we were watching like kids stuff where it's like, but if you keep showing that, you're kind of programming people to think this is okay or this is how we act, you know? And so, yeah, it's really interesting. A side note with that, one thing I always think about is like how powerful TV and movies could be if they like had our best interest in mind. Because like I'm watching Heartland, I'm crying. I'm feeling like I'm there. I'm feeling like who just died. I know him. He's my best friend. I'm so sad. You know what I mean? Like you really get immersed in that. That's why like the mind movies work so well. Cause like you feel it in your body. And so like imagine if it was like pumping us up, helping us heal. Like if all the big companies were focused on that, we would live in a different world.
That's a whole nother video right there, folks.
All right.
But yes, amen.
Amen. Amen. I guess like the last thing that I kind of want to talk about is like, how do you embody the belief that rest creates results? How do you really step into, you know, it's not all on you? Because I feel like one thing, like Peter mentioned, it's good to be aware of like, what are your stories, right? Because once you figure out what your stories are, what your patterns are, you can start working through them. You have to have that awareness, right? But then it's like, how do we kind of shift and step into that? And I guess part of that is like, what do you want to believe, you know, and like start acting from that place. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, a big thing, like you guys will see on my social media, is I put business first for a long time because that was what I was believing. And I know that what we believe, it manifests, it shows up. And so I believed I had to put business first. So I was putting business first, right? And it was like, okay, this is awesome. Business is growing. But then other things were suffering. And so now I'm like, okay, I believe that I can have a business that is successful and that helps others. And I can have a really great garden. And I can FaceTime my friends whenever they call. I'm so lucky my friends call me all the time. They want to see my face, right? I want to show them my face. I want to say hello, right? And so I have that belief. I can have that. I can have a great relationship and a business. I can work a few hours a day and business can continue to grow. And so then I'm showing up in that way, right? And like the only way for that to happen is if I believe it and then I start acting. I start taking the action that supports the belief that I have.
Yep.
And pay attention because like society, there will be those things that are like, no, you can't have this. What's your goal? You're failing, you know? How much money do you have? And it's like, you just got to be aware, like that is not the track that I'm on. Yep. That's not the program I'm doing.
Yes. It's okay for you to make decisions and to live your life without comparing yourself to anybody else. If your gut is saying this is right, it's right. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't, back down from it. I guess you can, but you know that this is what you should do. And eventually you will allow yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So some stuff for you to think about, food for thought. If you liked this video, if you're like, oh, I like this topic, I want to do more of this. I want to infuse more of this work into my business. I want to show up this way. We are going to be doing a Q&A discussing this inside Aligned and Signed Academy. So if you want to talk with me and Peter, bring up things, we want to hear, what does this look like for you? How have you been able to slow down? How have you been able to release the pressure? Just kind of having community. I think community when it comes to business and seeing other people who are doing business in a way that you want to do it or in a way that you're doing it, because it can really feel like, wait, everybody's still hustling? Everybody's still posting these goals, right? It's like, it can feel crazy. So if that feels like something that you want to do, join us in the academy. We're going to be doing these calls, Q&A groups, talking about the videos that we're posting, the podcast episodes. And I'm confident that you can find the link for this. I'm confident that you can find it in my bio or in the show notes. So I'm not going to say, I feel like I always say this to my clients, but it's like, if people want to find you, they will. If they want to sign up for your program, they will.
Yes. Yeah, we're excited for that because we love to connect with you guys and to work through, because we know what it's like to do this work. Everybody goes at their own pace. There's no judgment. There's no additional pressure. We're just exploring. And we're becoming the versions of ourselves that we want to be.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Inner work. It doesn't have to be hard. Changing your life, it doesn't have to be difficult. It's all just in our heads. We can choose for it to be fun, to be easy, and to be expansive. And
yeah, I think one of the things too with this like idea, if you ever have the story of like, oh, it's all on me, I have to figure it out. It's like, if you can allow space for others to come in, then you can start seeing that others can help you, right? And so a big part of like my business is collaborations and connections, right? Because I know that when we come together, we are stronger, we are better. And I think more than ever in the society that we live in, like, we have to help each other out, right? And if you're trying to do it all on your own, it's gonna be harder and it's not gonna be as fun. So our thought is that with these calls, we can come together and share what's working for growth, what's working for releasing the pressure. And maybe you'll get an idea from us, or maybe you'll get an idea from one of the other coaches who's running her business in a way that feels really joyful and abundant as well. So we're really excited. Okay, until next time. Bye, fun.